Fifth station, Jesus is judged by Pilate. The chief priests with the elders and the scribes, that is, the whole Sanhedrin, held a council. They bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. Pilate questioned him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He said to him in reply, "You say so." The chief priests accused him of many things. Again, Pilate questioned him, "Have you no answer? See how many things they accuse you of." Jesus gave him no further answer, so that Pilate was amazed. Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas and handed Jesus over to be crucified.
Grace and peace be to you. I have a friend, more a mentor, who I stay in touch with, and every so often in phone conversations, when things are particularly difficult, stressful, hard, he will say to me, "It sounds like gut check time." And by that I know that he is saying, you can choose the easy way out, or you can choose the hard way out. The hard way is the way of suffering, the way of trial. The first Good Friday was certainly gut check time for Peter, and he did not do so well. Running from suffering, he chose denial. And now every Good Friday since becomes for us, those who follow Christ, a gut check time. This is not Christianity light. There are no jelly beans or chocolate Easter eggs. Restaurants do not offer Good Friday luncheons. This is a day to recognize that life can be hard. It was a day of denial for Jesus, of scourging, of abandonments, and then of death. It is a day that adds suffering to the mix. It would be so easy, even probably tempting, to just rush quickly to Easter. Wouldn't it be great to dismiss suffering and difficulty in light of Easter as something that we Christians would no longer need to bear? I mean, if only we could, right? If only we could. There is a widespread point of view among non-Catholic Christians to dismiss the crucifix with a remark such as, "Oh, we worship the risen Christ." The notion in itself is not wholly false, namely, that Good Friday is not the end of the story. Indeed, fundamentally, we worship and pray to a God that is not dead, but we need this day. We need this moment. Because whatever else this day stands for, it speaks of a life that we, many, know very well, a life of suffering. Although we still live in the land of the dead, yet we hear a notion that there is a resurrection. And yet life is lived more on the side of suffering than redemption. We know better Good Friday than we do Easter Sunday. The challenges of life are ever before us. In physical health, which might be good one day and not so good the next. Mental health, which may rob us of joy and hope. Relationships, which might be conflicted or broken. Then stress and strain and worry about money and security. And then loss and grief and guilt and shame. We are, at any moment, just a blink away from suffering. And the worst of it is to dismiss its reality by pushing the resurrection envelope too quickly. Our Savior does not live according to the time-space continuum as we know it. He does not chronologically move from Last Supper to the prayer of agony in the garden, to the death on the cross, to the empty tomb. No. He lives above and beyond time. He is in the holy moment of now. Celebrating the resurrection, yes, but also suffering and dying, yes. And that's the gut check. Are you ready to suffer? On the night of his betrayal, he promised his followers that they would drink the cup that he drank from and be baptized with the baptism that he was baptized with. We know those to be references to his suffering. And as much as he promised his followers that they would suffer as well, the promise went one step farther. He promised that in our suffering, he would be there too. However, no quick remedies, no easy answers, no swift divine intervention, but just a promise. You're not alone. So pain is still there, does not evaporate. The cross stands not just as a statement to the resurrection, but also of painful realities. And it is not the magic wand. Whether we put a figure of him dying on it or not, we know, we believe deeply that here is where suffering is transfigured. So we live. Racism still exists, bigotry still expressed, sexist comments still made, hatred still divides, loneliness still isolates, blows are still absorbed, cancer still encroaches, accidents still surprise us, weapons still proliferate, death still stings. But what is still is not forever. And until forever, insofar as we bring our burden of sorrow and suffering and sin to the cross, and to the extent that I come broken and humble to that cross, the Savior who bore the cross, no, who bears the cross right now, will be there. And it is enough.